Radiohead, one of the greatest and more experimental alternative rock bands, with a career spanning more than 3 decades, has millions of fans, each with their own opinion about the best songs or albums the band has released. As one of them, I often find it difficult to decide which of their albums is the best, so I have chosen to rate the songs on each album and divide the sum by the number of tracks to get an average score. I must say that I am slightly surprised by the result, seeing how albums that I considered very highly were below others that I did not appreciate as much. I suppose the same is true for many of you. My opinion is of course subjective, but I have tried to apply certain rational criteria to evaluate the songs. To do so objectively, the most important thing is not whether I like the song more or less, but the structure of the song, the instrumentation, the melody, the harmony, the musicianship, the arrangements. This can be measured more or less, but there are extra points for something as little measurable as beauty. There are songs that are almost technically perfect, but they are not beautiful, and the other way around. But enough of the talk, let's start. Pablo Honey. Radiohead's debut album is considered by many their weakest, especially for those who are more into the electronic phases of the band. But as an alternative rock recording of the early 90s, it's quite good. It even has a grunge flair. Let's see how it fares. You, the first track, is in my opinion the best song, and it gets 8 points. Then there's 4 songs that get a 7.5. Creep, Ripcord, Vegetable and Lergy. Another 4 songs get a 7. Stop Whispering, Anyone Can Play Guitar, Prove Yourself, and I Can't. The rest of the songs get a 6.5. The Bends. The Bends is the album that got me into Radiohead. It's still an alternative rock album, but it already hints some of the musical innovation that is clearly seen in its follow-up, OK Computer. This is my rating. 3 songs from the record get a 9. High and Dry, Fake Plastic Trees, and Street Spirit, Fade Out. Absolutely gorgeous songs, close to perfection. Nice Dream and Bulletproof get 8.5 points each. Then there are 6 songs that get 8 points each, Planet Telex. The Bends. Just. My Iron Lung. Black Star, and Sulk. The weakest song in my opinion is Bones, and it gets 7 points. This is a fantastic album. OK Computer. Let Down is perfect and therefore deserves a 10. Everything is magnificent. The guitar intro, then bass, drums, and vocals coming in a different time signature. The melody, the harmonies, and backing vocals, the chorus, bridge and the outro with that final acoustic guitar chord. Just beautiful. No Surprises gets a 9.5. Beautiful melody and instrumentation. That glockenspiel starting the song and then continuing over the whole song is just magic. Paranoid Android gets a 9. It doesn't get a 10 because, despite being brilliant, it lacks the element of beauty of the previous 2. Airbag. Subterranean Homesick Alien. Exit Music. Lucky and The Tourist get 8.5 points each. Karma Police gets an 8, while Climbing Up the Walls gets a 7.5 and Electioneering a 7. 5 points is my score for Fitter Happier. I considered not rating Fitter Happier as it is basically a computerized voice. Since I rated it quite low, I thought it lowered the album's final score too much and that it was a bit unfair, but in the end I decided that it had to be included since there is a musical base behind it, and the band considers it a song that is part of the album. Please note that the final score would be 8.5 if Fitter Happier was to be left out. Overall, it's a great record. No wonder is widely considered one of the best albums ever. Kid A. Kid A is a big step away from the previous albums. The band decided to change completely the direction of their music and use less guitars and more keyboards, focusing on rhythm instead of on melody. As a result, it's probably the hardest Radiohead's album to get into. But still, it's considered one of the greatest albums of all time. Let's see the rating. 2 songs get a score of 8.5. How to Disappear Completely and Optimistic. The outstanding opening song, Everything in its Right Place gets 8 points. As does Motion Picture Soundtrack. Morning Bell gets a score of 7.5. 3 songs get 7 points. National Anthem, Tree Fingers, and In Limbo. Finally, Kid A and Idiotique get 6.5 each. A groundbreaking album, indeed. Amnesiac. Kid A's follow-up is seen by many as a continuation of its predecessor. In fact, it was recorded during the same sessions, so they have a point. Despite this, Amnesiac, according to drummer Philip Sailway, comes out stronger in the band arrangement way. This is my rating. Knives Out is the strongest song with 8.5. After that, 3 songs get 8 points, Pyramid Song, You and Who's Army, and Life in a Glass House. 3 more songs get a score of 7.5. I might be wrong. Morning Bell Amnesiac, and Like Spinning Plates. I must say that I very much prefer the live version of Like Spinning Plates recorded in, I might be wrong, live recordings. But I won't change the score in order to be fair with the rest of the albums. Dollars and Cents and Hunting Bears get 7 points. Packed Like Sardines in a Crushed Tin Box get 6.5. And Pulp Pool Revolving Doors gets a 5. Pity this experimental track brings the album score down a bit. A solid album, almost on par with its twin Kid A. Hail to the Thief. Yet another change, at least in strategy. Hail to the Thief was recorded using a more direct approach, with the band playing together in the studio. Here's my rating, Sail to the Moon gets a 7.5. After that, 5 songs get a score of 7. Where I End and You Begin. There. A Punch-Up at a Wedding. Scatterbrain. And A Wolf at the Door. 7 of the songs get 6.5 each. Finally, The Gloaming gets a 5. It's a pretty solid album, although less brilliant than others. In 2007, Radiohead innovated again by releasing an album without a record label, letting fans download it and pay whatever price they saw fit. In Rainbows was unanimously very well received. But is it really that good? Let's see. Okay, I gave Nude a 10, not because it's musically perfect, which it almost is, but because it's incredibly beautiful. Art in its purest form. Reckoner and Jigsaw Falling into Place are almost perfect. They get 9 points. 2 songs get a score of 8.5. Body Snatchers and Videotape. Then, with 8 points come Weird Fishes. All I Need. Faustorp and House of Cards. The only song below 8, with 7.5, is 15 Step. This is an incredibly strong and solid album. A favorite of many. The King of Limbs. For years after In Rainbows, Radiohead returned with an album produced mostly using samples and loops. And an extremely short one. Just 8 songs for a total of less than 38 minutes. How does it fare? I consider Codex to be the best song, with a score of 8 out of 10. 3 songs get 7 points. Morning Mr. Magpie, Lotus Flower, and Separator. Bloom gets a score of 6.5. Little by Little and Give Up the Ghost gets 6 points. Feral gets 5. A good album. Maybe a bit below the band's standards of excellence. A Moon-Shaped Pool. Radiohead's last album was released in 2016, way too long ago. Johnny Greenwood's side as a film composer is shown with string arrangements and choral vocals performed by the London Contemporary Orchestra. Let's see how it fares. I know this will be controversial, but to me, The Numbers is the best song on the album. I give it a 9. Just to realize how good this song is, just look at the video of Tom and Johnny playing it only with acoustic guitars and a CR78 drum machine. 3 tracks get a score of 8.5. Burn the Witch, Daydreaming, and True Love Waits. Desert Island Disc gets 8 points. Dex Dark, Identikit, and Present Tense get 7.5 each. The 3 remaining songs get 7 points. An absolute gem of an album. So, which is the best? Before we unveil the results, and you start ranting, remember that there are songs rated with a 5, and that significantly lowers the final score of the album. Please also remember that this rating is not based on personal favorites, but rather on the application of objective criteria of elements that make a song great. Once all the songs have been rated, 8 of the albums have at least one song with 8 points, and none of them has songs with a score lower than 5. It can be concluded that Radiohead is incapable of making a bad album. Please leave your comments below and respect other people's opinions. So, this is the final rating. Number 9 is The King of Limbs, with a final score of 6.56. Number 8 is Hail to the Thief, with a score of 6.64. Number 7 is Pablo Honey, with a total of 7.13. Number 6 is Amnesiac, with 7.32. At number 5 we have Kid A, with a score of 7.45. A moon-shaped pool gets the number 4 slot, with a total score of 782. At number 3, OK Computer with 8.21. Had I not rated Fitter Happier, the score would be 8.50 and OK Computer would be on top of the list. Number 2 goes to The Bends, with a score of 8.25. And, finally, number 1 is For In Rainbows, with a total score of 8.45.